Hi guys, I'm Kartik. I'm a professional baker. Welcome to KK's Kitchen. Today we are making soft white bread without any mixer or any special ingredients. We are using just those ingredients which is available in your home. With all these easy ingredients, we can make this bread really fast and quick. Personally, I prefer to use fresh yeast, but I mean fresh is not available everywhere. So I, we can do this with fresh dry yeast as well. So let's begin. Plain white bread recipe. We need 500 grams flour, um, 15 grams of salt, 10 grams of oil, 10 grams of dry yeast, um, 10 grams of sugar, 200 ml of water, and 100 ml of milk. As I said, it's really plain simple basic recipe. So I have chosen the ingredients which is available in the home, in each home. So first of all, make sure you wash your hand, clean the bench top, and I personally suggest you to use just the bench top rather than whisking bowl or stuff, because it's a little bit trickier to knead it. Maybe for a start you can do so. So first of all, we'll use yeast and a sugar in the water. And we'll mix it. As because we are using dry yeast, it needs to be soaked, so it will start fermenting a bit. Otherwise it will be a little bit slower process if you use straight in the bread and start kneading. So just give like maybe 10 minutes this way and it should be fine. Just twist for a minute, and once you see the granule start disappearing, it should be fine. So while the yeast start fermenting slowly, we'll get prepared for a few things. So flour needs to go on the bench top like that. Salt. If you have a high grade flour, it's okay. If you don't find that high grade flour, just use the plain flour, should be fine as well. But the difference between high grade and plain flour, it's high grade have more strength. It can create more, it can develop more gluten in the dough. So I personally prefer to use high grade flour, but I mean I understand some place you really tricky to find high grade flour. It will just come up with white plain flour, so that will do your job as well. So once your salt being mixed like that, I personally suggest you to mix the salt in the flour, so it will don't kill the yeast, because sometimes if you throw the salt straight in the yeast or fermented water, it will kill the yeast. Chances are slim, but they do. Right, so we'll begin with some amount of milk, which is 100 ml. So the purpose of using milk in this dough is to make the bread a little bit softer, because sugar or milk, which holds a bit of sugar in that, helps keep the dough more softer compared to just using the water and maybe oil. I'm using oil over here. As I said, I need to use the really simple basic ingredients which can be available everywhere. Some people use butter or ghee, which is an Indian version of butter. So if you have that available, just use it, that's fine. It will just enhance the flavor, that's it, nothing else. So it's time for that. So now you can see this. As we're gonna knead the dough, you don't have to worry about waiting to ferment so much. Just be careful Yeah, I think this is the reason people prefer to use bowl rather than doing this way. But I mean, it's just a matter of time. Once the whole dough is together, it's good to go. A little bit knockback. Actually, you can use this recipe as a no time dough as well. Just mold it, put it in your tin, and it's all good to go. So we are not going to do that. So there is another thing which I can show you. It's called a window test. How are you gonna know that your bread is ready? I mean, your dough is ready. So this is called a window test. This is what we want. More it stretches, it means you have developed really well good gluten. So what happens is, when you put it for the rest, it will start filling up the air pockets inside the bread, and then after you knock back the bread, that dough, and then it will that net which have been created inside while resting, it will collapse, and when you leave it again in the actual mold, it will create more netting. So when the end up result of the bread will be like really good. You got more netting, more sponge in the middle, and lots of air pockets. Actually, that's what we want, and that's the reason we are creating more gluten, developing this dough a lot to help creating more and more net inside the bread. Makes it easier. Hey, right, let's rest it. So what I suggest you is just put some oil on top, a vivid, and then just leave it on covered with the glad wrap. So we'll wait for like half an hour, and then we mold it, and then it's good to go for proofing. Hope you enjoy this. Right, so we're back. As you guys can see, we have put it, after the dough mixing, we have put it for the rest, and the dough have been grown up a bit. So what actually we are after is the net. It's the sponginess of the dough. So now what you're doing is simple, just make it a little bit squarish and just make sure it's nice and tight. In lots of video it shows up that you have to worry about the sim really tight, nice and tight, but if you're using the mold, you don't have to worry about any like making the sim really tight. As long as the sim is down under the tin, it's being hidden under the tin, should be fine. So pretty much that kind of shape goes in that, and voila, it's good to go. So what you do is just cover this up and let it brew. This will take about 40 to 45 minutes if it's really nice and warm, but if it's like maybe 25 28 degree, might it takes an hour to grow. As long as we reaches the top of the tin, it's ready to bake. Right, we'll put this in for brewing for at least 45 minutes. So after probably 15 minutes, the bread should be look like this. We need exactly this side, little bit overbrewed, not overbrewed, but a little bit puffy, but it's pretty good size. It's nearly double the size, a little bit more than double. So this will cook on 190 degree to 195 for about 30 minutes in the oven. Yeah, if it's a domestic oven, probably 190-95. It just vary a bit. And if it's some commercial oven, then it like we cook it in our shop, probably at 210 degree for about 30 minutes and lots of steam. So in domestic ovens we don't have steam provision in those ovens. So what I suggest is, as you can see, the temperature reached to 220. So what we'll do is drop down to 195 and we'll set the timer for half an hour. So if you when you preheat the oven, it will give a really good lift to the bread. And other thing what we can do is, for steam, is a bowl of water like that, just a wee bit of on the floor, somewhat here, so it will start steaming, and then yeah, it's good to go. There we go. Awesome. Cool. Right, so as you can see, it's now pretty close to finish up the timer. Just 1 minute left, and I have raised the temperature to 200 in last 5 minutes to just give a bit of more color. So this is how it exactly looks. It's nice and oops, it's a bit tricky. Right, okay, so I need, okay, take this one, makes easier. So as you can see, it's nice and puffy. The purpose of giving steam is to caramelize the sugar on top of the bread, and it will keep the skin nice and soft throughout the baking. This is an optional thing if you want to just give a nice oil wash on top, oil or butter, whatever you like, just to keep the top skin nice and soft until it's cooled down. So the other thing is, you need to empty up the tin bread from the tin. Yeah, it would be more helpful if I could have set the camera on the tripod, but that's fine, it's not a big deal. Okay, so you guys can see it's nicely baked. Once it's cooled down, I'll come up with proper slicing, and as you can see, it's nice and puffy, baked from all over the place. The bottom. Cool. So let's cool down for at least an hour, and then we'll slice it. So here I have cut the bread in slices, and voila, you can see the sponginess. The slice is really nice and soft. Voila. So hope you enjoy this recipe. So I hope you guys like this recipe. It's really simple recipe. Anybody can make it. There are lots of different ways of making white bread, but I've chosen this the simplest way of making it without any equipments or any special ingredients. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'm coming up with lots and lots of new recipes in future, so please press the notification bell so you'll get the updates. The next recipe which I'm coming up with is cheese and onion step bread. It's really interesting bread, so stay tuned and you have a great day. Happy baking.